Masculism, feminism, equalism. Which one's better? Which one's worse? Are they evil? Are they good? Why is there so much hate online for each of them? And why can we never seem to agree on what is the solution? That is what we'll be discussing in today's episode. Hello everyone, my name is Katrina Overfield. This is my co-host Tim Goldich, and this is The Glass Floor. This is a podcast where we basically talk about men's issues, gender equalism, and basically just trying to get a point of view on both sides on gender issues and how we should go about solving them, current issues that affect genders differently, and about their different points of view and how they help or don't help. We are a podcast that is sponsored by NCFM, the National Coalition for Men, which was founded in 1977. They are a nonpartisan, inclusive, gender equal group that is helping fight against discrimination against boys, men, and the families that care for them. And today's episode, we're going to be going over feminism, masculism, equalism, what they are, what each of them stand for, and where the different difficulties are in each one. I'll pass this off to Tim, who's the expert on this matter.
Thank you, Katrina. Appreciate that. Great intro. All right, so here I'm going to make the case for gender equalism. And I'll begin by saying what's wrong with feminism. I'm going to begin with that because I want to show why it would be to all our benefit to replace feminism with gender equalism. So first of all, what then is wrong with feminism? Many would say nothing's wrong with feminism, that it is a righteous corrective. All right. Well, I'm going to claim that feminism, the basic flaw in it, what just doesn't work about it, is that it's half of gender reality. It's the male power, female victimization half of gender reality, presented and demanded to be accepted as if it were gender reality in its entirety, which it is not. All right. Now, what's wrong with that? Well, a half-truth is as good as a lie. This whole idea that men have the power and women are the victims is one-sided, which is why it's false, which is why it's poisonous. Also, within it is a moral polarity. It's dividing humanity into factions. These are good, and these humans are bad. And this has been going on from time immemorial, these moral polarities. Romans good, Christians bad, feed the Christians to the lions, right? These moral polarities are common, but never are they good. They always end up bad. Germans good, Jews bad. Didn't end well. Moral polarities are deadly. They're a terrible thing. And it goes for man bad, woman good, just as it does for any other moral polarity.
But is it really a moral polarity when feminism claims that they're rights for everybody and that they're fighting for everyone and even the men who are oppressed by the patriarchy?
Well, you see, the thing is feminism claims to have equality as its goal. And if its initial premise is correct, if men really do have the power and women really are the victims, then feminism is indeed a righteous corrective. It is all about correcting an imbalance of power enjoyed by men and an imbalance of victimization suffered by women. So if that initial premise is correct, then feminism is a needed uh, well, balancer. It seeks to balance. It seeks equality then. But what if the initial premise is false? What if uh, men do not have the power, but men just only have the male power? What if women have the female power, but we just don't recognize what that is and what it's comprised of and how it works and how the female collective applies its force of influence into the human system? What if women are not the victims? What if men simply don't elicit the empathy that would have us really care about male victimization? So this patriarchy victimizes both sexes. So that's a dodge. That's a manipulation. I'll
Mm.
explain why. So um, for decades, people like Warren Farrell offered up proof positive of the existence of male victimization. All these statistics from the finest sources available just proved it over and over again. Men, the vast majority of the homeless, the vast majority of the imprisoned, the vast majority of the at work fatalities, the vast majority of the parentally alienated, homeless, um, about almost twice as likely to be the victims of violent crime, more than 3 times as likely to be murdered, just on and on and on. So, feminism had a quandary. If women are not the victims, then feminism is not so righteous. So what it did, it came up with patriarchy victimizes both sexes. So that sort of killed two birds with one stone. One is it allowed that men were victims, but only victims of themselves. So you don't really have to empathize with them because men still have the power. I don't really can't hold women accountable because women remain the powerless victims. Because we haven't addressed female power with that. So we still are assuming that patriarchy means what that means, well, how it's feminist defined is as a standalone male force, a generally evil force, the power that rules our human world. But I would maintain that as feminist defined, this so-called patriarchy never existed.
But wouldn't you say that men's biggest enemies, in a way, are also men, just men in different positions,
Uh-huh.
higher up, who have the money, who support these kind of things and these ideas,
Uh-huh.
and then thus forth somewhat proves the patriarchy?
Well, uh, men will always be happy to man up and take full responsibility, regardless. But that doesn't make it so. Uh, this this patriarchy. Well, first of all, I prefer the term patrimatriarchy because that connotes a male-female balance of power, which I believe has been the actual reality of things. Uh, do are men often their own worst enemies? Do they often create their own predicaments and miseries? Oh yeah, you bet they do. Sure, but that's true of both sexes. You see, you know, that's hard to prove just off the top of my head. I mean, that's something I've gone in great detail in my upcoming book, but it's women that evade accountability. It's women that refuse. Well, here's a quote. Camille Paglia.
Mm.
Men have sacrificed for women and children, including their lives, for thousands of years, says Camille Paglia.
Mm.
This sick portrayal of human history is nothing but male oppression and female victimage. This is a way to permanently ensure the infantilization of women. This is a sisterhood way of victimizing women. And I'll go into more detail about that. There's all kinds of ways that feminism victimizes women. So we can easily look at that. That's, in fact, a very healthy way of looking at gender reality, is to look at the ways in which woman and man create their own predicaments and miseries.
Mm-hmm.
And there's something I'll call the wheel of complicity, whereby man applies a force of influence upon woman, and in turn, woman applies a force of influence upon man. That's another factor to look at also. But patriarchy victimizes both sexes. Well, okay, but then feminism or matricensis, the female consensus, or sisterhood also victimizes both sexes, if we want to look at it that way. Okay, so that's what I have to say about that. Anything else you got? Any other?
I would say, really, if we're talking about how feminism is toxic to women and victimizes them, wouldn't that go the same way then for masculism towards men?
Yeah.
And basically telling them to sort of victimize themselves to the point of not quite infantilization, but blame, maybe
Well,
more so.
yeah. I mean, we're going to get there, but yeah. Basically, feminism instills within women what you might call a victim dictum.
Big victim.
This this outlook on life that women are the powerless victims in all things, which of course is emotionally and psychologically self-fulfilling.
Mm-hmm.
Does masculism do the same thing? Yes. Masculism looks out at the world, and everywhere it looks, it sees only female power and male victimization. So it's basically doing the same thing in reverse. There's two important differences. One is that masculism is but a drop versus feminism's ocean. It's a
Mm-hmm.
very tiny thing with not all that much influence in the world. And two, masculism raises awareness of the other half of gender reality, where there's this vast feminist ideological dictatorship. There's this little band of men that do what they can with what little resources they have to raise awareness of the other half of gender reality, essentially the female power, male victimization. Unfortunately, from my point of view, they do not present it as the other half of gender reality. Instead, they tend to want to present it as an end in itself. So sadly, too much of the men's rights movement is all about ousting woman from victimhood center seat so man can sit there instead. And in my view, that's not a step forward.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't get us anywhere.
More of a step backward, really.
Yeah. More of the same, but worse, because you're just doubling up now. You're just doubling up the pathology of victimhood and so on.
Yeah, I think also, and this is just personal experience, it also just sort of blinds them sometimes from actually bringing up the issues in the other half they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Because I've noticed a lot of people come in and they're very anti-feminist, and
Yeah.
they focus on that specific thing
Right.
of attacking feminist media and attacking feminist views, that they sort of forget the purpose
Yeah.
of bringing up men's issues.
Yeah. Of course, to me, the purpose is to create a social environment that makes it possible for woman and man to call it even.
Mm-hmm.
That's the gender equalist goal. But, all right, so back to why we need to replace feminism. All right, so I've covered a lot of this. But here's some of you see, if women truly are the victims, then men, the ones with the power, must be the victimizers. Well, what else could women be the victims of? What, dolphins? What, there's nothing else you can compare. Now, there's no other. It has to be men. The men have the ones with the power. So again, you're back to that moral polarity: man bad, the overempowered oppressor; woman good, the innocent victim. And I say that's the source of all our gender political woes. that belief system. One-sided, false, poisonous. And that moral polarity. Finally, the last little point here I'll make on that is, how can feminism be about equality when so foundational within it is this moral polarity? It's this man bad, woman good. So how is that about equality when you're claiming that one faction of humanity, the male faction, is bad and women are good? Well, that's not equality, is it?
No,
No.
not at all.
Okay.
And within itself, it seems to have a lot of contradictions.
Oh,
You see, there's the LGBTQ women's rights people. You see, there's the anti-LGBTQ women's rights people, Black feminism, Latina feminism. So there's
yeah.
all these different lines that have sort of been created over time.
Yeah. TERFs,
Mm-hmm.
right? Trans exclusionary, radical feminists.
Radical feminists, absolutely.
Oh boy.
And then there's waves, third wave, second wave.
Yeah. First, second, third, and fourth.
Mm-hmm.
In my judgment, all the same thing. All of them are based on men have the power, women are the victims, and therefore everything comes out of that initial premise. One last thing.
Yeah.
If you're going to declare women the victims in all things, you're going to demand that all the empathy goes to women, leaving men bereft of empathy. What worse thing could one faction of humanity do to another than cut them off from understanding and compassion? That's what's wrong with feminism.
And one last question, somewhat to that point. Would you say, in terms of them taking away the empathy, masculism sort of being trying to bring the empathy back in a way, or at least so it seems with the men or the
Victims too.
victims too?
Yeah.
Would you say it's switching maybe historically what's been known as the gender roles and the roles that were seen as what made a relationship. In past episodes, we talked about men and women are equal and unequal at the same time because they're equal in their own ways. Women have the
What?
things
Yeah.
they can do, and some things they aren't able to. They will never be able to lift the same amount of weight. They
Right.
won't be able to sometimes do the same jobs because of their limitations physically or
Yeah.
mentally, just because of what they are biologically.
Or just their inclinations. It doesn't necessarily have to be ability. Women may have the same ability in STEM fields that men do, but they may simply not take the interest.
Yes.
It may just simply not fascinate them in the way it does men.
Or they think differently on different kinds of studies and things. But do you think those roles have sort of been switching with masculism, feminism? Masculism's maybe making men be okay with the victimization more, and feminism is, although I know the fourth wave is said to be okay with more traditionalists, there are some third wave feminists, if I'm saying that correctly, who have been a little tougher on the traditional women, saying, oh, why are you at the household and all
I
that?
know.
We fought for all this.
That's right. Yeah, I would say that the third wave feminists were brutal when it came to home, family, love, parenting, just really intolerant of hetero love, marriage, and parenting. Yeah. So yeah, these pendulums, of course, they swing because they always do. The one constant is change. But it's interesting because this whole idea that gender is strictly a social construct began with feminism. And it began back in the days when male superiority was self-evident. If you go back to like the 1950s and the 60s, it was just there. Men were better at everything. or so it seemed, right? I mean, that was
Well, they were also allowed to be
well, I
good at
understand that,
everything.
but
Women
if
can have their own bank accounts and
I
things
know,
like
I
that.
know, I get it, but but if you lived in the 50s and you looked out at the world, that's what you saw, right? You would say women have no head for business.
Mm,
Why? Because if somebody challenged you with that, oh, women have a head for business, and you would just go, really? Well, where are they? Where are these female businesses? You see, that's how it worked back then. Now we say we're more inclined to say the children are better off with their mothers.
mm,
Back in the 1950s, women have no head for business wasn't sexism. It was just truth telling. It was just obvious. It was just what everybody knows. Now, and everything's in flux, but this idea the children are better off with their mother
mhm,
is kind of still like that. It's still kind of common knowledge. It's still sort of truth telling. Not as much as it was in the 60s.
mhm,
Not as much as it was when there was the tender years doctrine, which guaranteed that mothers got the children in divorce.
mhm,
But, you know, the point is, yesterday's truth telling is today's sexism
mhm.
as we've grown up
Yeah.
and evolved the whole game. Okay, so at the very core
Mhm,
of gender equalism is it all balances out.
yeah.
That's like the sound bite. That's the 4-word sound bite. It all balances out. What does that mean? That means that in the benefits enjoyed and the liabilities suffered, and the power, the victimization, the freedoms, the constraints, the joys, the sorrows, good, bad, light and shadow, it all balances out between woman and man, and it always has. That's gender equalism's central premise. Okay. So feminism's central premise is men have the power, women are the victims. And my judgment is that is the poison. And to the degree that this belief that men have the power and women are the victims is the problem, it all balances out is the solution. Why would people object to it all balances out? Well, first and foremost, the objection is that it's false. It's wrong. It does not all balance out. And it does not all balance out either because men have the power and women are the victims, or it doesn't all balance out because women have the power and men are the victims. Okay. Oh boy. So, yeah. Well,
I mean, you could also argue that they say it doesn't equal to the same amount because they're saying they don't have the same access. Men have different access than women to different things, and that they think women should have the same access.
from a politicized female perspective, it sure as hell does not all balance out
Mm,
because women are the victims. And from a politicized male perspective, it sure as hell does not balance out because men are the victims. And both sides can prove it. And here's the trick as I see it. If you look at gender realities, it plays out along the respect axis. Then women really were kind of screwed in everything and still are to a large extent.
mhm,
But if you look at gender realities, it plays out along the love axis, then it's men who are the primary victims in everything.
mhm,
It all flips around. Now when you look at gender reality along the love axis, it's men that don't get the empathy. It's men who have to suffer accountability sans compassion. It's men that are sent off to war. It's men that are sent off to hard hazardous labor. It's men that are sent off to prison. No empathy for men. That's the lack of love for men, uh, where by contrast, women's greater power to elicit empathy is the power that raises only female concerns to the level of major societal concerns. All right. But from a gender equalist point of view, this contest for most powerless victim is purely destructive. And I'll address that in a moment here. The other big objection to it all balances out is that it promotes complacency. So the assumption here is that, oh, well, if it all balances out, well, then everything's great. We're done here. We can all go home. Okay, so the assumption built into that is that a balanced system is the same as a perfect system.
Mm-hmm.
Well, wrong.
Not quite.
No, you can have a system where the misery balances out, but that's not a perfect system. It's not even a good system. I mean, you can go to the extreme of like a war where both sides perform the most terrible atrocities on each other's prisoners of war, but you can't call that a perfect system or a good system. Or so I'm not suggesting that men and women are that immiserated, to use a Marxist term, but just to say that there, to ask, so what's the problem if it all balances out? Oh God, well, there's a lot of problems. There's lots of problems.
Mm-hmm.
It all balances out is not an endpoint. It's a new beginning. It's a place to start all over.
Mm-hmm.
It's a place to look at, take another look at all gender issues, but this time, um,
To sort of try to balance out where it's unequal.
yeah, to look at the
Basically.
unfairness and to do so with a better attitude.
Mm-hmm.
Can we get the chart of mirror opposites for a second? So this we looked at before.
Mm-hmm.
So this is like,
Last episode.
my effort to say that for every male issue, there's a female issue. For every female issue, there's a male issue. That they mirror each other. And this is like a compendium of mirror opposites. By no means is that all inclusive. It's still only scratches the surface actually, but that's the idea. See, and you
Yeah.
can drop it into larger categories: men more respected but less loved, women more loved but less respected. Men deemed somehow more important, women deemed somehow more valuable. Man dominates, woman manipulates, blah, blah, blah. You see, you can go down the line with that stuff. And here's another thing about it all balances out. It's like it can be like a decision we can make. We can be looking at this on and on and on ad nauseum, and finally just say, I'm done with that. It goes nowhere. All right. And I'm gonna become willing to call it even.
Mm-hmm.
So the third objection is that some look at it all balanced out and they think it's dogmatic. And from that point of view, what's underneath that is this idea they'll be envisioning a literal balance beam in which you could make a precise measurement.
And you
Right?
really can't.
No, of
It's
course
not
you
one of
can't.
those things.
No.
Because as mentioned earlier, there's only so much you can do. We aren't equal biologically, mentally,
We're
any
not the
other.
same.
We don't have the same instincts.
So what gender equalism suggests is that woman and man need not be identical to be equal. The two ends of a balance beam need not be identical to weigh the same. And woman and man need not be identical in order to be equal. What we suggest is balanced equality, not unisex equality.
Mm.
So many won't recognize gender equality until it takes the form of 4 equals 4,
Mm-hmm.
when it's absolutely self-evident. But actually, gender equality is more like E equals MC squared, where the two entities on either side of the equal sign are very different, but they're equal because they weigh the same.
Mm-hmm.
That's how gender equalism views uh, gender equality, and gender equalism claims that woman and man are and have always been equal, equal in number, evenly matched, equal overall weaponry, equal overall efficacy, applying an equal overall force of influence in the human system,
Mm-hmm.
equally responsible for outcomes, how much more equal could they be? That's how it looks from a gender equalist perspective. So rather than have this endless, eternal effort for gender equality, we recommend that we recognize that gender equality is and has always been so. Okay, so once you've accepted that, now you're looking to adjust the system for fairness.
Mm.
Okay, now you're looking at all these issues and you're trying to address them with an aim for fairness. They already balance out. Now, what do we want to do from here?
To make less issues.
Yeah, to
That
address
sense.
the issues of both sexes.
Mm.
Okay. All right. So, no one could claim to hold the entire male experience on one side of the brain, the entire female experience on the other,
No.
and claim to know with certainty which side is heavier, which is lighter, which is freer, which is more constrained, which is better, which is worse. That's impossible.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So, what gender equalism concludes, therefore, is we might as well be magnanimous about it. Yes, we could spend all eternity in a never ending contest for the coveted title of MVP, most victimized and powerless. But that battle, that goes nowhere. It all balances out is not dogmatic at all. It's more like a decision. You just get sick of this.
Yeah.
Oh, men live with shame. Oh, I guess men are the big victims. Oh no, look, women live with fear. I guess they're the big victims. Men protect others. Women are protected. That doesn't belong there. That's
And
not
it's
a
sort of
mirror.
about figuring out within
Doesn't work. That's not
with
one of them.
yeah. And that's sort of women and men need to figure that between themselves too. And like I don't like bringing up the dating topic and social media all that much, but this sort of relates to this. Uh it was a Christian joke reel, and before somebody comes out and goes, "Oh my God, she's a super religious girl," it just popped up on my Instagram reels. Every kind of humor pops up on there, even stuff that I'll send you to down below. Uh, it just happened that in this specific case, it was a Christian reel.
Uh
Christian humor, and it was about how in dating, men nowadays will be like, "Oh, what do you bring to the table?" Like
Yeah.
something they ask on a date.
Right.
And I was funny about this reel is this girl was reading the comment section of a video about what do you think about men asking about what do you bring to the table, and all these girls answered trying to find in the Bible where it said I had to bring the table.
Oh.
Trying to figure out where Adam was chasing Eve or Eve was chasing Adam.
Yeah. Right.
Um, and one girl answered, "Didn't God say He brought the table for us?"
Right. So
And so it's sort of some of them start pointing out they were like, "The table is the fact we can make kids. What do you bring?"
yeah. 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 See, different points of view, and yeah. Right. It's God. It's a zero tolerance policy out there
Hmm.
now. It's like women can't have anything that men don't have,
Yeah,
and men can't have anything that women don't
women.
have.
Yeah.
And in in the realm of heteroromanticism, it doesn't work that way.
Hmm. Well, because it was always sort of like a support system. Each side sort of had their way of supporting the other.
Yeah,
That seems a really
yeah.
big
In
thing. And
most,
I get it. It's a financially hard world. I'm also broke, so it's okay, guys.
uh,
But so it's a financially tough world, so it makes
yeah.
sense where you need two incomes to live. But and some people might want help with like paying and stuff. But the point is, regardless of financial or not, it was like a support system. There's like a
Oh, very much so.
emotional support,
Yeah,
or like more emotional and more of a stoic, like I coming up with solutions, kind
yeah.
of
Right, right.
sometimes financial support.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Historically. men have supported women materially,
Mm-hmm.
and in return, women have supported men emotionally. And that was an equitable system. It was balanced. All right. Oh, boy. Yeah. All right. So, one last thing about it all balances out.
Mm-hmm.
It can be viewed as like an outlook, and it's supportable by several lines of reasoning. Can't prove it, but it is something you could support with various lines of reasoning. And it's like an invitation with gender equalism. It's like, hey, we've decided to call it even. Come join us. Like that. Not some dogmatic thing.
Mm-hmm.
All right. The next thing that will come up will be how feminism victimizes women.
Mm-hmm.
A very important topic to look at. To oppose feminism, in my view, is like, um, well, it's to the benefit of both sexes. Okay, it's different from patriarchy because patriarchy is really a patramatrix census. It's really a male-female consensus, and it's a patramatriarchy. It's a male-female balance of power. Taking down the patriarchy means you're just taking down the male half,
Mm-hmm.
while the female half keeps going. And it's really about just replacing men with women. Feminism is femalism.
Yeah.
It's an imbalanced system. And the next thing I'm gonna explain is how it victimizes women. All right. So first, let's take a little break,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll go do some jumping jacks and come back.
Yeah. Hey guys, and welcome back to this conversation about gender equalism, masculism, and feminism, and talking about the goods, the bads, and the solutions. We are back from our break, and we are here to continue talking about, right now, why feminism is victimizing women and the toxicity of it. So we're back here with Tim Goldich.
Hello, everybody. Yes, yes. Feminism. Well, how does it victimize women? I claim that it does. How? How does that happen? Well, okay, so it all begins with a withhold of accountability. If women are the powerless victims in all things, then women are not accountable for anything. Let's take a quick look at that. Suppose we imagine a quadriplegic, somebody who is paralyzed from the neck down, and we strap them to a wheel of a car, and we send the car hurtling into a crowd of people. Someone who can't move is in no way responsible for the outcome. You can't hold that poor guy responsible. He had no influence. He could do nothing, right? Well, if women are the powerless victims, then we can't hold women accountable. But what if women are not the powerless victims? What if women are actually equal partners in the human system and always have been? So, feminism is a withhold of accountability, which is a withhold of respect. It's a withhold of respect for women's power, women's weaponry, women's efficacy, women's equal partnership in the human system. So, feminism prefers to look at women as the powerless victims in all things. Well, that is emotionally and psychologically self-fulfilling. If I internalize victim as a self-identity, then that's what I am.
Mm-hmm.
All right. It does terrible spiritual damage to women to go around thinking that they are the powerless victims in all things. It does spiritual damage to women to think that all fault is male. That leaves women spotless. So that leaves women righteous. It leaves women self-righteous. And that's spiritual poison. It's telling women that a boogeyman hides behind every bush ready to jump out and attack them, which is terrifying. It's telling women that their biology only betrays them. It's telling women to low prioritize marriage, home, family, parenting, to limit women's immersion within roles and realms in which many women are at their happiest. Not all women, of course, but many. Um, it it tells women, and this is so false. It tells women that their legacy is nothing more than property and chattel. I mean, you can see that in all these feminist books, and I mean, that was taught in school when I was in school. That was the preferred phrase. That women were nothing more than property and chattel. Ugh. Well, all right. So let's take a quick look, a detour here, right here, right now.
Mm-hmm.
There's a theorist named Lloyd DeMause. All right, and what he sees is an evolution of human technology from way back in the ancient world, and alongside it, parallel, there has been an evolution of human parenting. And what he figures is that this evolution of human parenting has been the evolution of human empathy, human emotional intelligence, human social skills, human compassion out into the world. All right, and some signposts of this uh, social evolution, if you will, this evolution in human empathy. Things like the Geneva Convention. All right, never before in history were there rules of warfare. Compare that with Vlad the Impaler, who created a whole forest of
Mm-hmm.
people impaled.
Yeah.
Just
I mean,
not.
you could say there were rules of warfare with Sun Tzu, The Art of War, but
Yeah, really. Uh huh.
some of his tips.
Well, I guess I don't know. I'm not familiar enough with that. I mean, it's philosophy of war, and it's what is it? It's the art of war, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's been chivalry um, more recently, not all the way back with good old Vlad and his crowd. You know chivalry with Caligula.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but by the time you get to the Middle Ages, there is a code of honor in
Mm-hmm.
how men are supposed to engage and battle with each other. But even then, you see, by then, even the empathy had creeped up a little bit. Um,
It also depends on area too. Baldwin, King Baldwin, of Jerusalem, and can't think of his name right now. It'll probably hit me later in this recording.
uh-huh,
Um, but his sworn enemy, they had a lot of respect for each other
uh-huh,
in the Middle East for
okay.
their warfare.
There was Cyrus the Great from way back. That's
Mm-hmm.
uh, slightly pre-Roman Empire. And he ruled with wisdom and some modicum of fairness. It's hard to say if that was empathy rather than, or was it just strategy
Hmm.
to come in and basically liberate people from a more brutal system than the one he had to offer. Um, I don't know, but if you look at the Roman Colosseums, and that was just one. That's the only the famous one. There were these circuses all over the place, and people would go and spend an afternoon watching humans, mostly men, being tortured to death for amusement. And the more hideously the people that were being tortured screamed in agony, the more it was met with laughter and applause. I mean, there has been some evolution of empathy.
Hmm.
It's not the same as an evolution of humans, mind you. It's a social evolution. Because see, now we have like the anti-cruelty society,
Yeah.
and that sure didn't exist in Roman times when the peaceful rhinoceros wouldn't fight the lion like they wanted. They'd stick a hot poker up its rectum and force it to. I mean, there has been some evolution in human empathy, and uh, and it's taken that same sort of trajectory. So it's like pretty much flatlined and goes up ever so slightly in the Middle Ages and a little bit more in the Renaissance, and a little bit more in the Enlightenment, what we call the Enlightenment, and then in modern times it just goes
Yeah.
practically straight up. And so now we have all this compassion toward marginalized groups that before received no compassion.
Yeah. They see us as humans now,
Yeah,
equal humans.
right. So, so yeah, and we have women to thank for that. We have women to thank for the fact that there is human rights.
Hmm.
What a concept! Never existed before. It was new with the American Constitution. All men are created equal, and all have um, a God-given right to basic human rights.
Hmm.
Among them, the life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Right. All right. So, what could be more important than that? How could women's contribution be more important than that?
Hmm.
So again, when I say that woman and man have been equal partners, exerting an equal overall force of influence, I'm not talking platitudes. I'm talking about true reality. It's just that why, why isn't feminism all over that? Why isn't feminism radiating that from the mountaintops? Why isn't feminism, look, women have, they'll go on about women hold up half the sky.
Hmm. Well, they say
But
women have women empowerment when they get in bigger positions
yeah,
and
when
then
they have
they're being
male forms of
leaders.
power,
Hmm.
you see. Yeah, feminism's all over it when a woman's a CEO or a senator, when a woman wields high-end forms of male power. But the thing is, what DeMoss identifies as women wielding female form of power, in this case, motherhood power. And that's why feminism doesn't want to know about it,
Hmm.
because basically feminism wants to come to the bargaining table saying, we women have nothing, you men have everything. It wants to claim nothing to give, but only the need to take.
Hmm.
It wants to tell men, you must pour from your glass half full into our glass half empty, because that would be only fair.
But then, how does gender equalism tend to be a bit more of a solution?
Okay, so under gender equalism, woman would come to the bargaining table saying, you have power, we have power. We suffer victimization, you suffer victimization. Let's negotiate. Now a woman shows up as an adult, an equal partner to be respected, rather than as a damsel in distress. You see, that's the solution from a gender equalist perspective. What else? Yeah, feminism just drowns women in sympathy. And sympathy is deadly. Sympathy is what you give children.
Mm.
You know, that's a little boy or girl burns a finger on the stove, and you go, oh, poor thing, you know, and you pat it on the head, you go, oh, let me kiss it, make it better, and, you know, that kind of thing. You give a child sympathy,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't give an adult sympathy. It's disempowering. It's making women into a poor thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's not an adult.
You can give sympathy, but you give constructive criticism with it.
I think what you give is empathy.
Mm.
So empathy is different because empathy is putting yourself in the other's shoes and feeling what they feel.
Mm.
Whereas sympathy is remaining detached and just saying, oh, you're suffering, poor little thing.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So, all right. I could go on and on more about that, about how.
But realistically, in the end, and what this episode's about is that gender equalism is
Nice segue.
what brings the real solution to the table.
Yeah. So let's move to
It's
that.
the real discussion.
Right.
It's actually a discussion, and not even it's
Well,
the
that's
real discussion.
right.
It is the only discussion. It is the actual talking between two sides.
That's right. Right. Whereas back when I was in college, there was a play by Eve Ensler called The Vagina Monologue.
Oh, Lord. Oh,
And I'm
no.
afraid feminism has basically been a vagina monologue ever since. One of the big differences in gender equalism, why it's better than feminism, is because gender equalists take turns. So let's get a quick look at that mirror opposites chart again. See, so when two equalists are talking, we can say, we can talk about the glass ceiling and go on and on about that. And if I'm talking to a gender equalist about it, you know, I can be patient around that. This is about women's victimization, and at least in part, it's about male fault and blame. Well, okay, I'm on board with that because when I'm talking to a gender equalist, I know that she knows that I know that she knows that I know that she knows that there's always a mirror opposite. And when we're done talking about the glass ceiling, we can talk about the glass floor. What's the mirror opposite of anorexia? Well, if anorexia is females taking a self-destructive and sometimes fatal path in their efforts to achieve a societal ideal, the Barbie doll figure, well, then the mirror opposite of that is steroid abuse. It's males taking a self-destructive, sometimes fatal path in their efforts to achieve a societal ideal, a G.I. Joe physique.
I don't think it's a Barbie doll figure anymore, though. I think now it's the Kim Kardashian figure, and it's Botox and lip fillers and all that.
God.
I'm just saying, that's what it seems like. It's changed from Barbie to Kim Kardashian Jr.
Well, it has changed over history, right? Because I mean, back in the 50s, the big
Marilyn
section,
Monroe.
right? She was big. She wasn't wasting
No.
away. Mimi Van Doren. What was the other one? Big blonde bombshell type. You know, she was in The Girl Can't Help It. But anyway, yeah. In fact, I'm of the opinion that the what women went for in the 1950s was more your Audrey Hepburn
Yeah.
and your Katharine Hepburn. very thin. But anyway, but this is women seeking this cultural ideal, the Barbie doll figure, and yeah. So the mirror opposites. We can talk about.
Guys trying to be Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Exactly. And there's no way to do that without steroids. It ain't happening without steroids.
Unless you're Arnold Schwarzenegger,
well,
basically.
yeah, but come on, he didn't do that all just with weights. Anyway, these issues, they're mirror opposites. They reflect each other all down the line. You see, an anorexic looks in the window. She looks in the mirror, and she thinks she looks fat even when she's emaciated. And the male with muscle dysmorphia looks in the mirror, and he thinks he looks skinny and weak even when he's bulked out to here. It's body dysmorphia, and both sexes get it. It's just in different ways. One's trying to live up to the standards of a superhero, and the other is trying to live up to the standards of a supermodel.
So how do we sit down and have this conversation then?
Just like this. Just like this. That's what gender equalism is all about, is having a discussion like this, going back and forth and back and forth. You might want to talk about sexual harassment. Maybe you've experienced it. Maybe you want to talk about that. Okay. Fine. We can look at that, and I can be patient. And see, the thing is, what changes is the attitude. They don't cancel each other out. Anorexia and steroid abuse, they don't cancel each other out. It's just that,
and they're not exactly the same either.
They're mirror opposites, just as men and women are the same but different. So the mirror opposites are the same but different. It's a male version of the thing and a female version of the thing. So the mirror within the mirror opposites is a kind of a funhouse mirror. It's a little, and this is one of the great benefits of gender equalism. If I'm talking to a feminist about sexual harassment, for her, it's emblematic of how females have been targeted as the victims in all things, and how it's all the fault of men. Man bad, the over-empowered oppressor, woman good, the innocent victim. There's no dialogue there. It's a vagina monologue.
Yeah.
But with gender equalism, we take turns. We talk about sexual harassment, and then we take a look at economic harassment and how that works and what that is. Okay. So there's no tearing down one sex to build up the other.
No.
Another really important thing about gender equalism, we join as equals. Feminism will invite me to be an advocate for them. But an advocate stands on the outside.
They don't get to understand. They just get to speak up and help out.
Yeah. They get to speak feminist perspectives. But in gender equalism, both sexes can join as equals. It's there to serve both sexes. It's there to create dialogue. It's there to take another look at all gender issues as matters of shared responsibility between women and men. And I believe that creates higher, that will facilitate solutions to both the issues of both sexes by looking at it that way, because these issues were co-created by woman and man in co-equal co-partnership, and only in co-equal co-partnership can we solve them.
Yeah.
If you hold males solely responsible, Males will do their very best to man up and take full responsibility, but they can't take full responsibility. Men have only half the power, and with it, they can only really
solve half the issue.
Yeah.
Got it.
See. Okay. So I would claim that this gender equalism is healthier. It's more sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
And it elevates the female legacy from property and chattel to equal partner. Woman's self-esteem could only improve to think of herself as equal partner in the human system than to forever be told that she's nothing but a powerless victim. What?
I'm choosing my words very carefully. Basically, it's allowing her to recognize that she has been an influencer her whole life and not the Instagram kind.
Yeah, right.
That has to be put in there.
Yeah. Yeah. Rather than see herself as powerless pawn under patriarchy, she's invited to see herself as equal partner in this human system, empowered, an empowered partner in everything and how things work. And obviously, you can get more solutions out of that than just forever browbeat men. Okay.
And it teaches them not to view themselves as victims anymore, and to basically see the ways that they're empowered in their own ways.
Yeah. And looking at the degree to which women create their own predicaments and miseries is also to look at how women might cease to create their own miseries and predicaments. And of course, it does the same for men as well. So finally, can we agree? Can we all agree that the world is a better place when men and women get along in some measure of harmony, and that the world is a worse place when the sexes are at each other's throats? Feminism induces men and women. It maximizes intersex rage, rancor, resentment, victim, vindictiveness, vengeance motives, and self-righteousness. It's poison. Can we agree that the world be a better place under a system that encouraged woman and man to call it even and reduce intersex resentment and promote intersex unity, fairness, and forgiveness? So that's my thing.
And healthier thoughts, hopefully, out of that too. But with that, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much for those of you who've been watching. As always, this has been The Glass Floor, and we will see you next episode where we will be talking about some of that vindictiveness and its history in the world of, if you can believe it, serial killers. So, we'll see you next time. Thanks so much for watching.
Thanks for being here. Don't forget to hit that subscribe and that, what is it, the like
button.
Yeah.